Another day, another very dominant India performance. And the question we've got today is who will beat India in this tournament? Will anyone beat India in this tournament? And how do you beat India in this tournament after I thought well, it looked like a men versus boys game against Sri Lanka at the Wankhede yesterday? Nash, a very happy India fan.
Yep.
I'll let you talk all about it, and then we'll go into whether India are going to be beaten in this tournament.
I know you've said you let me talk, but I honestly don't know. I mean, like I said before we started this, last night I was just sitting there on the couch watching the game, and I was just laughing. I I couldn't think of anything else. I couldn't, I couldn't say anything. I was just
Yep.
laughing, sitting there and laughing. I'm just the absolute ridiculousness of this, what's happening with this bowling attack. There have
Mm.
been, there have been great bowlers before for India, and for other countries, but I'll put this bowling attack certainly in the top 10 that has ever played cricket. This has
Wow.
been the trio has been absolutely superb. I mean, even Siraj stepped up yesterday, and you know, Bumrah, who didn't play for a year and a half or 12 months because of injury, and all the Indian fans were looking at the bowling attack and thinking, okay, who's going to step up this time? And Siraj said, okay, it's us, it's me, I'll step up, and he was pretty much leading the pace attack along with Shami. And those two bad games in the World Cup, 2-3 bad games at the start, I think doesn't change the fact that he is one of the frontline bowlers for India. And the way
Mm.
Bumrah started, he was literally making the Sri Lankan batters dance on his teams. All three bowlers were. I don't know what to say. I mean, the 10-year-old Nash, sitting there in Mumbai watching India get beat by Australia again and again, again and again, wishing that, you know,
Those were the days, eh?
those were not the days. Wishing that we just
They were
had
the days.
one fast bowler who can bowl, who can run through batting lineups. And if I could go back and, say to him, you know, just wait. It gets a lot better. Just wait. I mean,
Mm.
time will come. And this is it. This is the time. I mean,
Yep.
I'm convinced that this bowling lineup has the potential to go all the way. And now the other side of that 10-year-old Nash is saying to the 23-year-old Nash, 30-year-old Nash is, okay, but what about the batting? And that's where that hint
Mm.
of there's a hint of, I don't know, pessimism. There's a hint of
Yes.
um reservation about the batting. Um
Mm.
and because I'm
It's
I'm
where it's where it's where you can get India, isn't it? Like
exactly, and I
if there's
can't.
one sort of weakness you could look at, it's that.
If you're told me 15 years ago that batting will be weaker than the bowling, I would have laughed in your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but here we
Yep.
are. I mean, this bowling attack
Yep.
has absolutely rattled batting lineups. And a journalist, Henry Moran, I think he's from the BBC, put it perfectly that the Manchester United of Sir Alex Ferguson, a lot of the teams lost the game even before they walked out of the tunnel,
Yeah.
when they played that team.
Yeah. I
and,
saw
and
that.
and this is that kind of a bowling lineup. And it's just really heartening to see when I go on Twitter and social media and look at some of the replies from other fans, other cricket teams fans, and other cricket teams experts. They didn't rank this Indian bowling lineup anywhere,
Yeah.
literally anywhere. Everyone thought, this
Before
this
the
Indian
tournament.
bowling,
Mm.
exactly. And this is
Yep.
not only casual fans or anything. This is knowledgeable cricket players who have played in the past, experts, journalists who you know say that they understand cricket, but in hindsight they don't. And no one rated this bowling attack. Everyone thought teams will just come and walk all over them, and that's not the case. And we believed as Indians that this bowling lineup has the potential to do that. And I don't know what others will say, but three bowlers, this is the way to go. if Hardik Pandya tomorrow comes back in, unfortunately, even though he has played a bit here and there, no big innings, I think Sky will make way for Hardik Pandya instead of a bowler, and
Yes.
that's how it should be, because the way Sky is going, I think he isn't quite up there. We saw glimpses yesterday of what he can do, but
Yeah.
Even if Hardik Pandya comes in, he just adds to that bowling lineup again, and to the batting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just, I now truly feel what you must have felt in 2003, 2007. This is that kind of a feeling. I may have,
You haven't won anything yet, bro.
yeah, I know, but that's the thing, that's the thing, If this
Nah,
team
nah.
goes on, to win, we will
Yeah.
end up
No,
saying
I
that.
get you.
But I understand, those Australian teams used to just run through
Oh,
no other team had a chance, and this is what it feels like. Everyone who
I
turns
was
up
great.
is just is just there as a formality, and the
Yep.
real test is the next game. I would say the real test is the South Africa game at Eden Gardens, because maybe the pitch will be slow, and
Mm.
once, if the pitch is slow, then South Africa batters might struggle against this
Mm.
Indian bowling lineup. But I truly feel South Africa must chase. I hope South Africa chases. I hope India wins the toss and bats first, sets a target, and then see South Africa struggle, because that would be absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, I'm still shocked New Zealand didn't do that, what, a couple of days ago. Brain dead stuff from a team that you expect better from, but that's another topic for another day. In
I mean,
terms of the Indian,
I
yeah,
said this in a message to you after I saw the
yeah.
toss yesterday, that I've followed cricket for 23 years, and to even now, I absolutely fail to understand what New Zealand and Sri Lanka did when they
No,
won the
the
toss.
thing is, look, all right, Sri Lanka, okay, you could somewhat understand because you think, um, India, a very, very strong team, a strong team, setting or chasing. So, we'll try to give ourselves a chance bowling first. But South Africa are a fantastic side. There's a massive difference between South Africa batting first and second in this World Cup. It's been clear they were very nervy in that Pakistan chase, and then New Zealand bowl first. But I thought Sri Lanka as well yesterday should have batted, but I don't know if that would have made a whole lot of difference. I mean, they were knocked over for 50 in the Asia Cup final and batting first. So India have got the water on them. With this India attack, for me, it's like that there's no respite. Everyone's challenging you. And, when you talk about Indian attacks of the past, there's been some wonderful bowlers, your Srinaths and your Zahir Khans and all that, but there hasn't been a unit.
Yep.
There's been one or two good bowlers
Yep.
in the attack.
And to that exact point, that's what Shami said in the post-match interview when he received the man of the match.
Yep.
That's exactly what he said, is this bowling attack hunts as a unit. This bowling attack is
Mm.
one unit. If
Yep.
one of us is struggling, we tend to pick him up, and we discuss
Yeah.
ideas, and we discuss how to get a batter out. We set them up, and that's what
Yep.
you've seen in this World Cup. The way Shami set up Ben Stokes, for example, I think that was a
Oh,
perfect
yeah.
example. And what we saw yesterday was just an annihilation of a batting lineup from this bowling attack. There was
Yeah,
no,
it wasn't fair, was it?
it was, I mean, no other team, I would say, barring, if I could say, Australia, can compete with this bowling lineup. But in terms of bowlers, I'm saying they have, Australia has
Oh, we've
similar
been bowling terribly.
great, exactly.
On paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, even then, I'm not sure. But yeah,
and even now, New
we're well
Zealand has
off.
started to struggle, because they peaked early in the tournament. They
Mm.
won a lot of games, and then
Mm.
a couple of their bowlers are now injured, and they have got Kyle
Yeah.
Jamieson as cover. So I think this Indian bowling lineup is just going to get better and better. I mean, they're all, Shami is what, 31, 32, I think, and Bumrah is 30,
Mm.
Siraj is 29. I think they're still in the peak of their powers, and
Looking fit.
I would love to
Yeah.
see 4 5 more years, and hopefully the next World Cup is in South Africa, so that'll be absolutely brilliant to see all three
Yeah,
stick together.
terrific trio. Yeah, great trio. And when you talk about them hunting in packs and if someone hasn't had the best of days, I think back to that New Zealand game. New Zealand taking on the spinners in those middle overs. Kuldeep was expensive, but India came back really strong in the death after a
Yep.
really good power play period. So, the bowling attack working well together to reduce New Zealand to 270
Yep.
to limit them that day. In
And look,
terms of,
sorry, before we move on, I think
go ahead.
I'll just quickly
Yep.
say, there's a few people behind the scenes who have
Yep.
contributed to this bowling lineup. Obviously, we have all Indian fans time and again have said it was Bharat Arun who started the fast bowling sort of this revolution, along with Virat Kohli as the captain, saying Virat Kohli pressed the fact that
Definitely.
fast bowlers will win you games, they will win you tournaments, and coming to Rohit Sharma as the captain, he has used the ballers perfectly, because any other captain seeing Siraj struggle with the new ball would have kept him for first change, but that's not Rohit Sharma as a captain. He stuck with Siraj, gave him the
Yep.
confidence, and you can all
Yep.
see what Siraj did yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. And Siraj has been excellent in the power play for a good while now in one day cricket. So yeah, good call to stick with him. In terms of you spoke about New Zealand maybe peaking too early. Have India peaked too early, or or
I mean,
you
the
do you think can
peaks
they look? I
peak
think the big question now for India is look, they're dominant, and if I was a betting man and someone asked me put your $10 on a team to win this World Cup, I'm putting it on India. There's no question about that. But the worry for me is, and I've seen it a bit on Twitter as well from a few fans, is if we have a shit 45 minutes in a knockout game and we're out,
and look, there's
can
there's
India
not an
avoid it this time around? That's the big question.
well,
And which team is most likely, do you think, or which teams are most likely to trouble them?
look, I hope India avoids that this time, but it's really not in your control. It's not in anyone's control, to be honest. And it's
Oh, it
it's
is. It is in a
well,
way. I mean,
no,
you can avoid
I'm
playing
saying,
shit cricket.
as fans. I'm saying as fans.
Oh,
It's
okay,
not
yeah.
in our control to to avoid those 45 minutes of cricket. It's a train
How
wreck.
did the how does the team avoid it? So, for example, what will be the message from Rohit, for example, just before the knockout game, where India have had their troubles over the years, um, and this is a massive pressure on them now to go on and win it. They're odds-on favourites. They're dominating. They're playing great cricket. What's going to be the message then when
Look,
maybe they could go into that semi-final 9 out of 9 and then be knocked out for after one loss
honestly, I think
potentially?
there's multiple ways a team or an athlete can approach this, isn't it? Because we have seen many sports, even including cricket, where you could either use the 2019 semi-final, 2015 semi-final as a motivator, and keep that in your mind, saying we struggled, and this is me, this is the new me, this is the new player. Or
Mm,
you can completely forget about that, approach it in a brand new way. And to be honest, it all comes down to how Rahul Dravid and the support staff and Rohit Sharma as a captain and Virat Kohli as a veteran senior player, how they motivate this team, how they fuel that fire in them when it comes to when the push comes to shove in the semifinals. And I'm just hoping, to your question, which team I see making this India team
So is
struggle a
there a
bit.
team? Is
I
there
would,
a team you'd like to avoid in the semi-final?
if we play at 1KD, I would say Australia. I would try and avoid Australia. Given India struggles against Australia recently at 1KD in Mumbai, the pitch is a bit
Mm,
spicy at the start. I don't want to see Mitchell Stark coming in, um, on that pitch,
mm.
especially
I mean, if he bowls the way he has been, then there'd be no problem.
well, again, World Cup semifinals,
Yes.
Australia could be a brand new Australia. The mentality of
Look,
the
it has
Australian
to be a
players.
brand new Australia. Australia have won 4 games in a row at point of recording, but we've got to go 2, 3 gears if we're going
Yep,
to challenge
yep,
India in
yep.
any game.
And
No
and
doubt about it.
I think Australia might be that team to challenge India in the semifinals if they reach the
I hope so.
semifinals. That is,
Yeah, yeah,
eh,
long way to go yet.
yep. So exactly, and
Yeah,
that's the thing, because
Maxwell
it all
Maxwell falling out of golf carts and
mhm,
Marsh heading home. So yeah, lots going on.
it all comes down to how Rohit Sharma as a captain,
Big, yeah, definitely a
stands
big
behind
task
this
for him.
team and tries to motivate this team to get that
That's the
barrier out
biggest
of the
thing for
way.
India, isn't it? It's not necessarily a skill thing. There's probably a couple of skill questions in there, like Shreyas
I don't
against the
think.
short ball and
Look,
these sort of things,
I don't
and
think.
India below number 7. But in terms of mostly, I think it's a mental thing in those big. They get the mental thing right. Maybe if they win, I believe if they win that semi final, that first knockout game, they'll go on and win the final because that's sort of like a monkey off the shoulder, weight off the shoulder, and say, we've won a knockout game. We know what it takes. Let's do it. And
And
yeah, I think
I absolutely don't think it's a skill thing. You're right. It's absolutely not a skill thing. It's more.
it's it's
It's
going to be more a mental thing.
It's wholly and solely mental thing because
Mm,
we have seen what this team can do. The skills are there, the techniques there, the talents there. It's all about the game's mostly in the head. Um, and that
mm.
as you were saying, once you push that semi-final, the knockout game out of the way, I think the final is just hoping it's just a formality. But again, you can't take that
Look,
for granted.
oh, definitely not, and it's not set in stone. But I think it'll give India a big boost
Yep.
and that confidence to say we've done it, and now let's finish the job. When it comes to Australia, I hold hope to that from that first game where we reduced India to three down for 2 runs, and to say that if it does happen in the semi final again, I don't know if India recover from that as well because of the pressure of the game and things like that. So we need Stark to really
Yep.
deliver and come to his own. When we talk about teams that reach their peak or whatnot, Australia certainly haven't. We've won 4 games and we're in the top 4 at the moment, and I think we are favourites to make it. I think we will get there, fingers crossed, but we haven't peaked yet. We've got a lot of problems, particularly our middle overs batting. Even if we play against India on a flat pitch, say it's at Wankhede, and the ball isn't turning too much, our lack of proactiveness at the moment against spin in the middle overs, India will swallow us up in that period, no matter what. We've got to get that aspect of our game right.
Look, I think
Of course, as well,
if
getting through that power play with
exactly,
Siraj
exactly.
and Bumrah, that's a big test as well. So there's a
And
lot for Australia to got to get right to beat India or any of those top teams for that matter. But the hope is that they peak at the right time. That's
absolutely.
the
And
hope
and
from
the
an
thing
Australian
is,
perspective.
if Afghanistan win tonight, and let's say Australia lose against England, which might be a dagger in the heart, but if that
Could
happens,
happen.
then that Afghanistan Australia game it's pretty
Massive.
much it's absolutely it's a knockout. Pretty much, you can say that.
Well, look,
Um,
it's a playoff. The thing that probably gives Australia an edge. If imagine they do lose that game against Afghanistan, they will go behind Afghanistan on points, 2 points behind. But the net run rate is quite big at the moment in terms of the difference between the two teams. Australia have got Bangladesh in the last game.
yeah,
They're woeful. Afghanistan have got South Africa in the last game, so they've got to win that, you think, to get in above Australia. So, but yeah, we I think 2 wins out of 3 will get us in for sure. But you definitely can't be taking Afghanistan lightly.
yeah.
Um, as I said, Australia got to start thinking about now getting their best cricket in towards the back end of the group stage and into the semi-finals. Hopefully, get in there.
Yep.
South Africa, um, they're another team that I think can definitely challenge India. I mean, a team that can bat first that well. And I think the thing with South Africa is they're very willing to be disciplined the first 10, 15 overs, score at 4.5, 5 and over, and then just absolutely go bonkers.
Yep.
But can they do it against Bumrah at the death and Shami at the death and these guys? That's going to be a fascinating battle this week. Could be a preview of the final.
That's
Could be a
going to be an
preview of the final this week.
absolutely brilliant game of cricket.
Mm,
All around, everyone's playing good cricket. Batters, bowlers, fielders, everyone's stepping
they're
up
strong, mate.
in
They're
any
strong.
way they can. Even KL Rahul has been an absolute revelation behind the stumps. All
Mm,
credit to people who have worked on his fitness. He himself, the DRS review that happened yesterday I'm
yeah,
not sure
that
if
was
you have
good.
caught up on the highlights, but it was absolutely
Yeah,
brilliant.
saw that. Mm,
Um, and yeah, it's just this team all around as a unit. The behind the scenes, everyone's just getting behind each other and supporting
yeah.
each other. It's just so good to see, and I just want good things to happen to the team. That's pretty much it. No matter who the captain is, doesn't matter who scores hundreds, doesn't matter who takes 5 wickets, as long as India ends up winning, that's all that matters.
Mm.
It's going to be really fun against South Africa at Eden Gardens. I hope India bats first and sets a target. So let's see what happens.
That being said, if South Africa do chase a target against India, the confidence boost that will give them to say that we can chase a target against India just before the World Cup semi-finals, mate, they're going to be even harder to beat. I think that when we talk about India and South Africa, the two favourites for the World Cup, in my opinion, the top two teams, without a doubt at the moment. But the big thing for both of them is the mental blocks. It's not necessarily about a skill thing, as we said before. It's the mental side of things in the big games with the history, particularly for South Africa, where they can overcome that block. But that promises to be fascinating. Anyone else? Do you think, who would that fourth team be that could worry India? I can't see even Pakistan make it. I don't know if they can do it, or New Zealand for that matter. New Zealand look like they've got too many injuries and losing their way a bit.
No.
That's what I think. I'm not sure if you feel the same.
I think, as I said, Australia, South Africa would be the top two and would be the only two, I would say. I hope these words don't come back to bite me later on, but by
New
the
Zealand
looks
in
of
a semi-final. New Zealand in a semi-final. You never know.
I'm trying not to go there, but I think
you can't count anyone out. This
team is different. I think this team is different. As I said, when push comes to shove, I think this team will rise above all the negativity and all the pessimism. I hope this team is about that a lot. A lot of levels about that. So hopefully we get a cracker of rest of the tournament. I think it's been absolutely brilliant watching all of the games. The support, the crowd, the fans, everyone's rallying behind the team. Is just a good vibe.
I mean, when India get a different ball to everyone else, according to Hassan Raza.
I'm all for it. That's like having Ricky Ponting, put a spring in his bat in 2003. That's brilliant. That's the content I'm on the internet for. I'm enjoying it. Really loving it.
What a piece of analysis. Oh, too good.
Yeah. And the fact that that theory and the fact that absolutely no one outside of India and even some Indian fans thought that this bowling attack is good enough before the World Cup just makes it that much more sweeter. I think it's just that
must be the ball. It has to be the ball. It has to be the ball.
It's just that's when the smugness sets in fans like fans like me, where there is a point to prove to these fans.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look, I mean, the Indian attack's fantastic, very, very strong, and they're going to make it very hard for all the other teams. Undoubted favourites. We believe that South Africa is definitely India's closest challenger. Australia, if they get their act together, can be as well. The likes of Travis Head, David Warner, if they get off to a flyer, can put India off the back foot. The likes of Josh Hazlewood, Mitchell Starc, if they get their act together, they could put India under pressure in that top order, get early wickets again. But India are undoubtedly the favourites. New Zealand and Pakistan have their moments, but do they have the depth and the firepower at the moment to challenge India? Time will tell. Afghanistan, it'll be some story if they make the semi-finals. They've got a chance of doing it. Who knows? Who knows what could happen there? But India, it's definitely their World Cup to lose. Nash, thanks for your time. Good luck for the rest of the tournament.
You too.
I hope Australia, can overcome this Maxwell loss, the Marsh loss for the time being, and start peaking towards our semi-finals and cause a few nerves.
Yep.
I look forward to that, hopefully.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Charbel. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, mate.
Hopefully this keeps on going and we'll be here doing this again next week. Thank you so much.